Hello, my name is Hope Smith. I am entering my last year at Sam Houston. I'll be graduating in May of 2023, and then I'll be getting my alternative certification in elementary education. Today, we are talking about haptics, the study of touch and or touching. We touch people all the time. That's just how it is. It's a way we communicate with one another. It is various types of touching. There's hitting, kicking, slapping, punching, rubbing, embracing, kissing, hugging, licking, patting, stroking. So many different types of touch. And we use the type of touch with other people variously. For example, when you walk into a business meeting, an interview, or any type of professional setting, you generally walk in, give them a handshake. Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. Hey, how are you? You give handshakes. That's just how it is. Well, at least for me personally, that's how it usually is. When I get more comfortable with my colleagues or the person I'm interviewing with, they eventually become my boss. Maybe a hug, depends on how close you get with the person. Now, my best friend, I will always embrace her with a big hug. Sometimes, a little pat on the shoulder and the arm to get their attention. And greetings and touching vary, even here in the United States. So when I go up north to visit my family in Michigan, they're not really into the grabbing you tight and hug you or really touching people in general. That could just be my family. I'm not speaking for everybody up north. But it's usually just that, awkward side hug and a pat. But if I go visit my family in Arkansas or here in Texas, it's a full-on squeeze like they haven't seen me in decades. But, so that's what I've noticed between the North and the South in the United States. Now, if you go to Europe, they generally embrace people in a hug and kiss on either side of the cheek. That's normal for them. I personally don't think I could ever get comfortable enough doing it unless I know you. And then when you touch your partner, you touch your partner completely differently than you touch anybody else. When you touch your partner, sometimes sexually, I'm not going to say usually because some people, don't do that. Sexually, you touch your partner. Or you just embrace them in a hug, usually a kiss. Some people like licking. That's not me. I think it's a little weird, but hey, you do you. But you want to embrace them the same way you will a friend, a colleague, a boss, somebody you're interviewing with. That's a completely different type of touch. When you go to touch children, because I work with children, they love hugs, especially the kindergartners, but recently, because school just started, they're crying, boo-hooing because they want their mom. So what do? You rub their back, let them feel comforted, or you give them hugs, hold their hand, just any way to make them feel comforted, to get them to want to be at school, to get them to know that it's safe here, that you care about them. Anyway, now if you're touching and holding a baby, you just hold them like this, rock them, or some babies don't like to be held that much. My niece was a baby who loved to be held, and we were always told we were spoiling her. But I think us holding her, she has a better bond and connection. She's my favorite person. I'm her favorite person. I held her all the time as a kid. She does not want to be held now anymore. At all. She is fully independent, bossy 4-year-old who doesn't even want to hold your hand because she thinks she's grown. But that's a toddler for you. They think they're grown. They're kids. I don't know. They're crazy. But you generally touch children differently, not in a weird way. You always try to console. Some people spank as a form. I guess that could be a form of touch. They spank their kids. That again, that's between you and your kid. That's not my business. But some people smack or spank, pat, whatever you want to do. You can pat kids to bed. I had to pat like 22-year-olds to go to sleep all the time when I worked at a daycare. That was a form of touch. It soothed them to go to sleep. Now, another form of touch, fights. When I worked at an intermediate school, there was fights all the time. That was their favorite form of communication right there, was a fight. To let you know, I don't like you, and I'm going to beat the crap out of you. That was a favorite form of touch. Again, kids touch differently. So you touch all the time, every day, all day, every day. At least, especially if you work with kids, speaking on personally, you're always having to consult a kid the first few days, generally all the time. When they get hurt, especially with the kindergartners, they get hurt all the time. Gotta comfort them somehow. I hug my best friend every time I see her. I hug my mom every time I see her. I embrace my partner differently than I embrace everybody else. My principal at my school, I usually give her a handshake. Sometimes she'll pat my shoulder. We're not quite on the intimacy level of a hug yet, and that's okay. We'll eventually get there. We might not. Who knows? But haptics, the study of touch and touching, we do it every day.